Hello YouTubers and coin collectors out there. Got a great video for you coming up. This video is going to be about the 1960s United States quarters, also known as the Washington quarters. And in this video, I'm going to show you a little bit about all the quarters that I have here in front of you, the 65, 66, 67, 68, and this is the 68 as well, and explain to you why I don't have any quarters from prior to 1965. So let's get these other ones out of the shot right here and just focus down on this 1965 pile right here, right in the middle of the display. So I'm going to zoom in a little for you here. So this 1965 is the first year that we'll go through. Now 1965 is significant because it's the first year that silver was no longer included in the Washington quarter. So if you have a quarter from prior to 1965, then that quarter will have silver in it. In fact, it will be 90% silver, 10% copper. So these quarters right here, unfortunately, are mostly copper with 0 silver and a nickel-clad combination. So as you can see on the front, it's the standard. Flip it on its ridge on the edge, and you can see the copper showing right through. So the metal content of these is all these have a copper core to them, and then the coating on top is a copper nickel clad, so that's in like a copper nickel combination, and that gives it the color, but the metal content, the core of the coin itself, is just copper. So just showed you all of the sides right here. Now if you have a 65 and yours, you can't see copper showing through, that could be a great sign for you. That might mean it's a error coin, it's a transitional error coin. So what I like to do whenever there's a metal transition, that means when one year they use a specific metal and then the next year they switch to a different metal content, I like to look for error coins. So that could be that they mess up the lettering, like it could be double lettering, or they mess up the metal content. So if they mess up the metal content, then you have a quarter that's dated 1965 but is actually made out of silver. That can be worth a lot of money. So here is the 66, and I'll start giving you a little bit of the mintages for the quarters. So in 65, a whopping 1.8 billion, that's billion with a B, were produced. Those were just produced at the Philadelphia Mint. And then in 66, there were 821 million, also exclusively produced at the Philadelphia Mint. And then in 67, switch these over. In 67, there were back up over the billion threshold, and there were 1.5 billion produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Philadelphia Mint being the original mint. So for these ones, we can flip it over to their sides. Again, you see the copper showing through, indicating that they're not worth as much as they would be if there were silver in them. So here is the 68. Now in 68, they started sharing the distribution for the mintages. So in 68, there were 220 million produced at the Philadelphia Mint, 100 million produced at the Denver Mint, and 3 million proof coins produced at the San Francisco Mint. So if you add up the Philly and the Denver Mint, it only brings you to 321 million produced compared to 1.5 billion produced the prior year. So they probably got the idea after 67 that they could cut back a little on the production. And then in 69, there were just 176 million produced at the Philly Mint and 114 million produced at the Denver Mint. So that kind of contributes to why I don't have any of those ones as well. Give you a little history lesson on what was happening in the 60s when these quarters were being produced. Starting in 65, which is the first year that I showed you, which is this one right here. Starting in 65, Lyndon B. Johnson was the president. The vice presidency was vacant. That was a result of the JFK assassination. So in '65, the big kind of thing that was going on was the Vietnam War involvement, as well as the space race was going on between us and USSR, as well as the Cold War. And then kind of rounding things out to give you a perspective on what was happening at the end of these coin production. In '68, which is the last coin I have here, Lyndon B. Johnson was still the president. However, there was a vice president. That was Herbert Humphrey, a Democrat from Minnesota. So that kind of rounds things out. Just one more thing, actually. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. If you're a subscriber already and you have seen some of my other videos, please leave a comment and let me know what you would like to see. I produce a lot of coin videos, so recommendations is definitely helpful. And then I can go out and try and make that happen. All right, enjoy everyone. Take care.